Well, good morning, everybody. One of the comments I had on journal entry number 1 was the fact that everybody had some concerns with classroom management. Now that I'm actually doing a little bit of supply work, I'm in school and I have access to some technology. And I wanted to create this video just to give you a very simplistic approach to classroom management, something to keep in mind. Call it the stairways to heaven, whatever you want to call it if you're a follower of classic rock. But keep this idea in mind as a disciplinary tool for your classroom. And it works in many situations. I think the first thing you have to do is you need to look in your class and decide, who do you think this is going to apply to? There's probably 2 or 3 kids in your class that you know that there's going to have to be some approaches, whether it's to the desk, whatever it might be. But you can identify the 2 or 3 kids that you think you're going to need to provide more managerial support for. So let's start with creating how we will approach these kids. So take a kid in your mind and talk to yourself about what some of the behaviors are. For instance, if it's just simply inappropriate behavior at a desk, let's start with that, shouting out, blurting out. Let's start with how we can interact, how we can work towards solving the problem. And I'm just going to abbreviate with a few things here. Maybe it starts with stopping and looking, making eye contact with that little individual that maybe won't stop talking. So you just look at them, you stop your class, you look. I'm just going to actually put stop and look here. So that might be step 1 of what you do to approach that individual. You just stop and look. Let's hope it goes away. Sometimes that's all it will take. But what if it doesn't? Then we need to move forward, move up in our hierarchy, our little stairway, and come up with something a little bit more forceful, but also keeping the class moving forward. Does it involve going to the desk? And eye contact. Stand right at the guy or girl's desk and look at them without saying anything, continuing your lesson plan. I'm not saying anything there. I'm just looking at them, but I'm right at their desk. I might put my hand on their desk. I just slapped my desk here. Put their hand on the desk, and you're making strong eye contact, and you're holding it for a few seconds. Let's hope it goes away. But what if it doesn't? Then we need to look a little bit more forceful. I'm going to put the word eye level. And I'm going to put the word comment. So that might mean get down right in front of the desk and say, John, this is inappropriate. I need you to refocus. So we make a comment, and what's really important, sometimes we forget this, is what do you want them to do? You'd be surprised how many kids really don't know what you're expecting them to do. John, I am teaching a lesson right now. I need you to stop blurting out your answers, wait your turn, and please raise your hand. We need to be straightforward. The other thing, I'm just going to put a little arrow here. Your voice tone needs to be firm, but steady. You can't be yelling. You can't be, John, what are you doing? Da, 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 da. You have to be, John. You need to stop blurting out the answers. You need to stop poking Jane with your pen. You need to, whatever it might be. This is what I want you to be doing at this time. So you've gotten down so that you can maintain eye contact. At this point, we're just looking at making sure the behavior stops. And let's hope we stop it, like I said in the first 3. But if it doesn't, we still have more steps to follow. So what can something be that's a little bit higher that we can get the message across? Not a lot of room, but I'll try to squeeze it in. Private, I'm going to just put maybe a private hall conversation. John, this has to stop. You're disrupting my lesson plan. And one of the things up at this height here, calling it the height, is John, how can we work together so that you stop blurting these things out? Give them a sense of power, a little bit of sense of control and everything. So I might take them maybe the back of the class, maybe someplace really, really quickly, not too far away from the class. You don't want to abandon the class, but you might want to take them someplace and say, John, Jane, I can't have this behavior. And you still want to be talking about what you should do, but now try to involve them, and it de-escalates their actions a bit if they have to think about how they can come up with a solution. That doesn't mean they will come up with a solution, but if you bring them into the situation, and this could be at any age, young kids can come up with a way, and at this point in the school year, they know what good behavior is. They know what's expected of them. Now, we're extending here a little bit further. So what does it involve at this point? I'm just going to put down mom, dad. So could we look at, actually, I'm going to move that for a second. Can we put down, I'm just going to put down call home. And I'm going to put down a question mark. In your conversation with the student, John, Jane, do I need to call home and bring your mother, your dad, your guardian into this situation to get some understanding of how we can get you to be more cooperative in the classroom? And as we proceed further, I'm going to just switch the page because we can make as many steps as we want. Make it a little bit bigger so that we can do it. So we went from, I took them in the hall, I've asked them for their assistance, how we can help. And one of the things that we start to get into here, I'm going to back up for a second, is do I have to call home? Well, I want to back up slightly. We might want to also say here, ask them for assistance. John, we can't have this. We can't have this. And we're asking them how they can help us in this procedure. We might have to call home. And what if it extends a little bit further? They're still not cooperating. It goes right back to the way it was. We have to start talking about consequences. Now, consequences could be brought in really at any level, but I like to bring it in after I've had conversation with the student, after I've given him or her the opportunity to work out a solution, what I don't like. And then as I get further up the table, further up my stairway to heaven here, I talked about calling home. I didn't say I was. I said, do I have to call home? Now I need to clearly state to them what the potential consequences of their actions will be. Does it involve, I don't know what your school is, you need to find that out, detention, recess, and I know this is a big one in elementary, losing their recess, losing their other course, maybe something. It's not one you want to go to all the time. Sometimes students need to expel that energy, but do they have an after-school detention that you may have to consider? But what I'm saying is I'm not issuing an ultimatum. I'm putting the kids a sense of responsibility for, you guys can control this. This is what the consequence is going to be, but if you give me what I want, there's no consequences on this. So ask them, tell them, look, I'm going to have to remove 3 recesses. I'm going to have to put your name on the detention list. I'm going to have to call home to mom if you can't follow these particular classroom rules. Now, at this point is probably, if it gets above here, you've you've intertwined with all of this, you've worked with all of this up to here. Now we need to bring in maybe some reinforcements. So is there, if you're on a team, some teachers are on a team, maybe there's a team lead that needs to be brought in. And most cases, maybe there is a visit to the principal's office for a light inquiry with Johnny or Jane at your side. Mr. Principal, Mrs. Principal, I'm having a little problem with Johnny, Jane following this instruction, following my rules in my classroom, and I'd like to talk with you with him here. So we didn't bring the full force of who the principal is. It's just, you know how they say a ship will shoot bullets across the bow to give the other enemy a warning, give the other team a warning. Well, you're just bringing the principal in at this point simply to offer that authoritative support. And you're talking, always talking about what should be done. Now, what happens after that is the principal takes over. He or she will now decide the disciplinary level of the action. So let's just back up here for a second and look through that. So we start with simply a look, stopping for a second, looking at them, enlarge your eyes, get the message that you're unhappy with this. Maybe you visit the desk with your eyes. You notice I didn't say talking yet. And I'm going to put the word talk and I'm going to cross it out. You notice I didn't say talking yet. Well, maybe that's the case. And as we move forward, now we start to talk with a firm, steady voice without yelling directly, and you can see the steps going up. So this is kind of a Stairway to Heaven, the old classic rock song, but it's a way that I created on how to work with students who I know have given me issues in the past. Is it perfect? Are there holes in this? Of course there are. But I hope this is an opening strategy for our discussion at a later time on classroom management. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope it was clear. And we'll talk more about it later. Thank you.